Our horse, Black, is calm during the day. He helps us with the farm work, no trouble at all. But at night, he won't stop screaming. The villagers say Black is possessed by demons. I don't believe them. I need to find out what's really wrong with him. Maybe something my grandmother once told me can help. Our village sits along the Silk Road, the ancient route that once carried merchants and the wealthiest men of the East across Asia. Back then, in those old times, there were no banks. People had nowhere to keep their fortunes safe, so most of them buried their wealth underground. The merchants were always traveling, moving from place to place, so they'd bury whatever they couldn't carry. Anywhere along the Silk Road they happened to stop. Our village was one of those places. Merchants loved hiding their treasure here, and it's easy to see why. Our village is beautiful, lush, green, full of fruit trees, hot springs, and cold mountain streams. It was one of the best resting places along the whole route, which meant a lot of rich men passed through. That's exactly why, today, this village has become a paradise for treasure hunters. So many of those merchants died on their way home and never returned for what they'd buried. Others simply forgot where they'd hidden it. Of course, plenty of that buried wealth was looted long ago, stolen before anyone else ever got the chance. But some merchants weren't willing to take that risk. They didn't want to lose everything to some grave robber, so they traveled with something else. A witch. The witch would place a curse on whatever the merchant buried. Different curses, different kinds of protection. In one case, I heard, a witch trapped a massive snake inside the burial site, coiled on top of the treasure, guarding it until the owner came back. No one dared go near it. Other treasures were sealed with something worse. Prayers twisted into curses that drove thieves to madness, curses that killed them outright. Even now, in the present day, those same unbroken curses have claimed the lives of dozens of treasure hunters foolish enough to go looking. Back then, to make their work easier, the witches began taking on apprentices from villages like ours, the same villages the merchants loved to visit. They taught the locals how to place these curses, so the witches themselves wouldn't have to travel constantly with the merchants. Some of these apprentices grew obsessed. They didn't stop at learning one curse. They wanted more. Some of them turned to something darker, black magic. Magic that would end up darkening the lives of everyone in this village for generations. One of the men who crossed that line, who learned the black arts and went too far, was my great-grandfather. Witchcraft in our family was always passed down, father to son, generation after generation. My father was supposed to be next in line. But before that could happen, my grandfather died just a few weeks ago. And with him, that chain was finally broken. Then, just a few days ago, my grandmother died too. The things she told me before she passed still haunt me. She knew everything. The whole history of witchcraft, of curses, even the black magic that had once cursed our village. She knew exactly what horror it had unleashed here, long ago. According to her, the very first apprentice who learned black magic struck the village so hard that for years afterward, no one dared come near it. That apprentice, that same reckless boy, brought the dead back. Nearly 100 restless spirits rose from the ground and tormented the villagers every single night. Women and children died of pure terror. Eventually, the villagers couldn't take it anymore. Within days, they abandoned the village entirely. Our beautiful home, once the most beloved stop for traveling merchants, became a forgotten, terrifying ruin. Not even travelers along the Silk Road dared camp near it at night anymore. Years passed. Then a war broke out, with two armies converging from either side of the abandoned village. The soldiers from the Western Front had no idea what had happened there so long ago. With nowhere else to go, they were forced to make camp inside the village for the night, walking straight into a nightmare without a clue. Back in those days, military units traveled with their own witches, ready to break enemy curses. And as luck would have it, the Western Army happened to have one of the most powerful witches in the entire region. When night fell and the spirits rose, they had no idea that this time they were the ones who should be afraid. The witch knew the spirits' one weakness: iron, cold iron. She knew that the soldiers' spears and swords could destroy them with ease. The Western soldiers tore through most of the spirits that night. Some they didn't destroy. They trapped, sealed inside covered iron cages where no light could ever reach them, planning to use them later as weapons of war. That night, our village was finally freed from the dead. The people came home. But to this day, I still don't understand what any of this has to do with our horse, Black. My grandmother knew something, though. She knew that after my grandfather died, his horse started acting strange. Perfectly calm all day, but screaming every single night. And yet, she never once let any of us go near Black after dark. Not even before she died did she ever tell us what to do about him. We were never allowed to ride him. The only thing we could use him for was simple farm work. Plowing the fields, nothing more. Like my grandmother, some of the other villagers knew the old story, too. The story of the black magic that once cursed this place. And they had their own theory that my grandfather's horse was somehow connected to it, that he needed to be put down. But I loved Black. I couldn't let him die. So I decided I'd go see him myself that night. Maybe, just maybe, I could save him from whatever it was that scared him so much. The barn was dark and cold, silent except for Black's frantic cries. I ran straight to him. I wasn't afraid. Not of him. I stroked his mane and whispered, "Easy, boy. I'm here. Don't be scared, beautiful." But then I saw it. Something on his body. A nail. Someone had driven a nail straight into this horse's flesh. That had to be it. That's what was hurting him, driving him half mad every single night. I had to get it out. There was a pair of pliers at the back of the barn. I grabbed them. There. Got it. The nail was out. Black seemed to calm instantly. But wait, why hadn't we ever noticed this nail during the day? Then I heard it. A voice, coming from right on top of the horse. "Thank you for setting me free. Now, I can finally kill all of you." without fear holding me back. What? What was sitting on top of my horse? My grandfather's ghost. My grandmother had nailed my grandfather's restless spirit to that horse, iron driven into its flesh to keep him from tormenting the village ever again. And I had just undone everything. It's time to run.
In the dark, the black horse screams, a rusted nail, the cause it seems. But the voice from the horse's mouth, grandfather's ghost, is finally out. Oh, I've undone it all.